halls of deliberation in the world. Welcome you all here. Madam Executive Director, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to celebrate International Women's Day and join your call for gender-inclusive innovation, digital education, and technology. These advances merit our full attention if we hope to achieve the promise of the Sustainable Development Goals. By 2050, 75% of jobs will be related to science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM as we call it in an abbreviated manner. Yet today, women make up merely 1/3 of the workforce in the 20 largest global technology companies. Only 57% of women use internet. These facts speak to the challenges before us. They also speak to the massive opportunities offered by innovation and technology to rapidly transform the narrative for women and girls by 2030. To state the obvious, we must intensify our efforts to achieve SDG 5 and unshackle the underused potential of the half of humanity. These are the two sides of the same coin. If we progress on these twin tasks, we can solidify the groundwork for the SDG Summit in September. As it stands, far too many women and girls still cannot access the opportunities offered by technology. Here is a shocking discovery. Women and girls are 27 times more likely than men to face online harassment or hate speech. Only 1 in 4 reported to authorities, and nearly 9 in 10 limit their online activity because of it, reinforcing the digital divide. According to some evaluations, the exclusion of women from the digital world has shaved $1 trillion from the GDP of the low and middle income countries in the last decade. Worse, if women and other marginalized groups are not given sufficient access to technology, we leave untapped vast additional capacities to solve the many challenges that we are facing. New technologies, if used well, offer a strong equalizer force to rapidly change this situation. And today's young entrepreneurs are not letting grass grow under their feet. They are developing new apps like Safe City to protect women and girls from violence. They are launching nonprofits like Laboratoria that provide training and upskilling for women to launch their careers in technology. To truly harness this potential, it is high time we had more investment to foster innovations which support female entrepreneurs in ICT and end the stereotypes that prevent girls from pursuing careers in STEM. Let us close the gender gaps in these fields. Let us allow women and girls to thrive fully and safely in the digital economy. Many women shaping the transformative solutions are fed up with waiting and act on their own. They are active role models for tomorrow's young innovators. As Cristina Junqueira, a founder of Brazil's first digital bank, aptly said, "I want my daughters to grow up in a world where they can dream of being whoever they want to be. And you can't dream. And you can't dream of what you can't see. The international community has to catch up and to support more of them. As we approach the midpoint of 2030 agenda, I truly believe that science has a critical role to play in all our discussions at the United Nations. Let us unleash the power of science to achieve gender equality and unlock the vast potential of women in innovation. I cannot imagine a better investment than that. I thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, since I've been a part of UN Women family, one person I've seen time and time again is the Secretary General, His Excellency Antonio Guterres of the UN, and talk about commitment. He has long been a huge, authentic champion of gender equality. So while he can't be with us today, his chef de cabinet, Mr. Earl Courtney Rattray, is here to deliver his message. Please welcome him.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me just start by picking up on something that the President of the General Assembly just said, which is it's such an honor to address you this morning. You know, I happen to know the seating capacity of this hall. And while it is an honor to address you, I have to say it's a bit intimidating looking out at over 1,800 power women. So, you know, I'm no substitute for the SG. He's on travel, but I'm going to deliver some remarks on his behalf. But permit me first to just say a few things on my own behalf. As you know, technology has dramatically shaped our lives and is impacting our future prospects. And women have borne the brunt of this change. Not only do they have less access to technology than men, but they also have less opportunity to shape the way technology impacts their lives. Nowhere is this more so the case than in least developed countries, so-called LDCs. According to the International Telecommunications Union, about 2/3 of the LDC population remains offline, and the gap between these countries and the rest of the world in the share of people using the internet has actually increased from 27 percentage points in 2011 to 30 percentage points last year. Furthermore, women occupy fewer positions in the tech industry. On average, and for the same job, women are still being paid 21% less than men. Also, only 3% of Nobel Prize winners in the science categories have been women, 3%. It is clear, therefore, that we need special measures to advance equal representation and participation of women in all spheres and decision-making spaces. But bringing women to the table is just a first step. We need to overhaul the patriarchal structures that perpetuate disparities between women and men and between boys and girls. Because, as the SG has said, gender equality is an issue of power, where male-dominated power structures are at the heart of economic, political, social, and corporate systems. The equal representation and participation of women is the key to transforming political, social, and economic models that have historically excluded them. We are at a crucial moment in history, and we must change its course. We cannot entrench a future where one half of society wields power to the exclusion of the other and to the detriment of all. As we observe this International Women's Day, let's reflect on the concrete steps that we all, women and men, can take to ensure a better future for women and girls and for all. I would now read the Secretary General's message. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to join you as we celebrate International Women's Day 2023. This year, we focus attention on the need for technology and innovation to advance gender equality. There is no question that technology is reshaping life as we know it, but there is a huge question over whether it does so for better or worse. And the answer depends in large part on technology's impact on half the world's population. Technology can lift the lives of women and girls around the world in myriad ways, from greater access to education, healthcare, and financial services, to new pathways into business and entrepreneurship. But to realize the promise of technology, we must confront its perils. And that means action in 3 areas. First, action to close the connectivity gap. Today, 3 billion people are still unconnected to the internet, the majority of them women and girls in developing countries. We must break down the barriers that keep women and girls offline. These include stereotypes that discourage girls from studying science and math from an early age, low levels of education and training in digital skills, lack of access to digital devices, data, and job opportunities. We must connect everyone, everywhere by 2030, because leaving no one behind means leaving no one offline. Second, we need women's leadership to advance change. Today, women make up less than 1/3 of the workforce across science, technology, engineering, and math. And in cutting-edge fields like artificial intelligence, just 1 in 5 professionals is a woman. We must increase women's participation and leadership in these fields through broader recruitment pipelines, using quotas if necessary. Without women's leadership, the Silicon Valleys of this world don't disrupt the patriarchy, they simply digitize sexism and perpetuate inequalities. And without women's contributions, tomorrow's digital products and services will have gender inequality built into their code right from the start. Science and technology should be objective and address bias. But today, because of incomplete data and poorly designed algorithms, they may make bias worse. We must ensure broader participation in the design of technologies with human rights at the heart. And third, we must make the online world safe for women and girls. Digital technologies have provided new tools to control, harm, silence, and discredit women, including those that are in the public eye. Online mob violence is a direct attack on democracy and is effectively censoring women, hounding them from office, and blunting girls' ambition to step up as leaders. We need action to create a safe digital environment and hold harassers, abusers, and the digital platforms that enable them to account. That is why I have called on governments, regulators, technology companies, and the media to stop the hate, set up guardrails, and enforce them. And it is why we are working to advance a code of conduct for information integrity on digital platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, the good news is that women are leading the charge to make technology safer, more accessible, more inclusive, and better regulated. And across the global south and north, More and more girls are rejecting archaic stereotypes and studying to become the scientific pioneers of tomorrow. The United Nations is proud to stand with women and girls everywhere in breaking down the barriers that hold all of us back. From UN Women's Action Coalition on Technology and Innovation to UNICEF's Skills for Girls program and other initiatives, we are mobilizing to advance women leadership in science and technology. Together, let's push for big, structural, transformative change and deliver on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Together, let's realize a more inclusive, just, and prosperous world for women and girls, men and boys everywhere. I thank you.
And thank you, Chef de Cabinet, for delivering the Secretary General's remarks. Thank you so much. In line with the UN Decade of Action, these coming years are crucial for increased action on the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, to ensure a world where everyone, including every woman and every girl, has a seat at the table. During our program, you're going to hear from quite a number of powerhouses, including the first woman Secretary General of the International Telecommunications Union. You're going to hear from two inspiring musical performances. And speaking of inspiring and talk about innovative, look how one group is trying to attract young girls to STEM. Let's take a look at this video.
Dance gave me a sense of confidence and this belief that I could do anything. My passion for math began in elementary school. But when I was a teacher, I saw how girls of color just don't think that math is for them. I want to shatter those barriers, and I think that dance can be that tool that can unlock that in them. We believe that girls of color can be our next generation of engineers, scientists, technologists, and dance breeds the confidence that we need our girls to have in STEM. Girls create dance performances that incorporate both dance and tech that they showcase at the end of the program. That can be a projection that is displayed behind them while they're performing. Our girls learn how to come up with an idea and bring it to life. Just like dancing, learning STEM concepts doesn't always come natural. There's parts of it that's confusing where they may not know which direction to go in, or the circuit that they created doesn't work.
Confused. We don't know why it's not working.
Are these tightened?
Okay, wait. I got it. Now go to the other one. Go to the other ones.
The level is on the other.
But it's when they overcome that hump and just push through, they become so proud of what they create. Seeing girls who come to us shy, intimidated by science, transform during our program isn't surprising to me. I've always seen their potential, but when they see it themselves, that's powerful.
That was incredible. That was incredible, right? Thinking outside the box. That's what we need to do to get these girls interested in STEM. And we are thrilled to have with us today the STEM from Dance Director of Programs, Jennifer Loving, as well as one of the young STEM dancers, Jasmine Moss Lewis. Please stand up and take a bow. Feel the love, Jasmine. You know, I asked Jasmine earlier what she wanted to share with all of you, and she said, to the adults, don't make us girls feel so small. Let us know that we can shoot for the stars. We're smart. They are fearless. I love it. Well, many of you know we have already begun the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. The Commission's remaining week-and-a-half series of meetings, negotiations, and side events focuses on exactly what we are discussing: how innovation, technology, and digital education can achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Now, I am delighted to welcome from South Africa the chair of the Commission on the Status of Women, Her Excellency, Ms. Matu Joini. Please welcome her.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Excellencies, friends, and supporters of IWD, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to join you for International Women's Day today. Let me once again on this day express my solidarity with all women in conflict-affected areas and disaster-affected areas. Our thoughts are with you on this day in particular, and we continue to wish you strength. We are here to celebrate the women and girls who are making digital education more accessible for all. To honor the gender equality activists who are using technology to improve the lives of women and girls around the world. And to encourage those who are championing innovation in gender-responsive ways. We are fortunate to be hearing directly from many of these women and girls today and over the next 2 weeks during the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. On Monday, I had the privilege of opening the CSW session in this hall. I was energized by the commitment of everyone in attendance who have gathered in person again after many years to commit so passionately to gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. The large number of attendees who have traveled from across the world to attend CSW this year is also an indication of the critical importance of this year's priority theme. We know the opportunities that innovation and technology can offer to all of us, yet these benefits are not felt equally. The rapid pace of technological innovation presents a unique range of challenges for women and girls. Clearly, the digital revolution is not a gender-neutral one. As we will hear from some of our speakers during the panel discussion today, online high-growth sectors and ICT facilitators, gender-based violence and discrimination is rampant. There are growing gender inequalities in terms of digital skills and employment in high-growth sectors such as IT, biotech, and engineering. Yet the future of work is increasingly becoming digitalized. This further marginalizes those with limited or no digital skills and access to technologies and digital platforms. Narrowing the gender gap in digital skills is therefore absolutely crucial for decreasing the gender wage gap. This will also improve the representation of women in emerging technological sectors such as green jobs. Over the course of the next week and a half, member states, UN entities, and NGOs will work to engage, highlight, and identify sustainable and gender-responsive solutions to many of these challenges. The women and girls of the world are counting on us. The need to accelerate action to create access to digital technologies should be front and center of all our efforts and discussion this fortnight. Beyond access, we must endeavor to confront the multiple barriers to digital technology, such as affordability and social norms. And most importantly, we need to ensure that our contributions in shaping a global normative framework on innovation and technology are gender responsive. The inclusion of women and girls as key role players in the digital revolution offers current and future generations a distinct opportunity to address and solve the most critical sustainable development and humanitarian challenges. I am committed to a robust set of agreed conclusions which will place women and girls firmly at the center of solutions to encourage and achieve gender-responsive technological change, innovation, and education in the digital age as the main outcome of the session. Fellow gender equality champions, let us leave today's celebration with a renewed resolve to ensure meaningful access and use of digital technologies and education for all. We simply cannot afford for any woman or girl to be left behind. I thank you.
And thank you, Ambassador Joyini. Well, I'm so excited to introduce our next speaker. She is the new Executive Director of UN Women and UN Undersecretary General. She is the former ambassador of Jordan to the UN, and prior to that, her 35 years of leadership experience has encompassed every level, from her grassroots efforts in her country to the national and international stage. And talk about impact. As a communications expert, she understands the value of women and girls' voices and their representation being key to having the digital world be equal for all. She is poised and ready to lead women globally. And by the way, this is her first in-person International Women's Day as Executive Director of UN Women. Please join me, everyone, in giving Miss Sima Bahus a warm and loud applause. How are you? Oh, I'm wonderful. Good to see you. It's so good to see you. It's so good to see you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Excellencies, delegates, sisters, brothers, civil society, young people, all protocol observed. Welcome to the 2023 commemoration of International Women's Day. It is indeed inspiring to look out and to see so much blue, to see every single seat in this hall filled with energy, with positiveness, with resilience, and allow me to say, with love and with power. The blue today, as we all know, is in tribute to women in technology as this year's theme. This International Women's Day falls during the Commission on the Status of Women, highlighting the power and potential of technology and innovation for accelerating gender equality and the rights of all women and girls. And I repeat, the rights of all women and girls. Today, we hold the vision of an equal world close. We draw on it, and we push forward. We do so in the face of growing misogyny and regression on women's rights. The courage of women and girls across the world demands this of all of us. Women activists everywhere are standing up and calling for an end to harassment, to violence, to discrimination in education, in the workplace, in legislation, in all aspects of their lives. Today, on International Women's Day, let us affirm our resolve by honoring the brave and tireless work of all these women. Excellencies, colleagues, friends, sisters, feminists, everyone. SDG 5 is at the heart of the 2030 agenda. It is the great multiplier, the smart investment, the foundation, and the prerequisite. It is no coincidence that today, as SDG 5 is off track, so are the SDGs as a whole. We live in a world of interconnected crises. At the heart of every crisis, we see inequality multiply. We now have a new form of poverty confronting the world. Digital poverty is growing and intensely gendered. Technology and innovation are game changers. They offer huge potential benefits. If used widely, they can bring us back on track for the SDGs and a more peaceful world. If misused, they can derail our efforts. This is the choice. As I said, technology and innovation are enablers. What they enable is up to us. We already see the benefits. Social media, blockchain, and open source technology have aided relief works following the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. Women farmers across Africa and Latin America are seeing their livelihoods transformed with digital tools. Across the world, mobile banking has connected women to their own bank accounts, unlocking both financial inclusion and economic opportunity. And yet, the gender divide has become the new face of gender inequality, and the gender digital divide has become the new face of gender inequality. It compounds existing inequalities, disproportionately excluding women and girls in low-income settings, women migrants, older women, women living in rural areas, and those with disabilities. And this is not only a story of missed opportunities. Online space can be toxic, breeding new forms of exploitation and violence. Misinformation has spread unchecked. Misogyny, xenophobia, racism, and social instability have been propagated and monetized. Grasping opportunities and avoiding their potential harms is a whole of society challenge. It demands the collective efforts of government, civil society, and the private sector, young people, to advance and use technology in ways that harness the power of equality rather than impede it. Generation Equality and the Action Coalition on Technology and Innovation form a powerful multi-stakeholder platform which seeks to do just that by accelerating progressive change and concrete impact. Dear fellow feminists and friends, let us be inspired and energize each other. Let us assert that digital rights are women's rights. We must and can reassert human agency over technology, demand the centrality of the feminist principles of inclusion, intersectionality, and systemic change, and ensure accountability so that technology-facilitated gender-based violence in all its forms ends once and for all. We need to fix the institutions and the harmful gender stereotyping surrounding technology, innovation, and education that fail women and girls and continue to do so. Dear sisters, dear brothers, fellow feminists, the vision of International Women's Day is enduring and powerful. We are as committed to it as we have ever been. Power, strength, and courage to you all on our day. I thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Executive Director. Let's give her another warm round of applause. And there is a lot of love in the room, and we are here to support her and help her move her agenda forward. You know, years of research shows that when women participate in decision-making spaces, there are better outcomes for everyone. And we are glad to have you at the helm at UN Women. But women and decision makers and women in positions of power in parliaments around the world are at only 26.5%. 26.5. We know with women in those positions, they will make decisions to change our world and make the lives of women better. So now let's turn our attention to another creative example of innovation in tech, which highlights the urgency of scalable solutions such as increasing the global averages of women in all national parliaments. The climate clock. It is a countdown to the major climate tipping point by the end of this decade. It's displayed on buildings around the world with two key metrics: a deadline of 2030 to reduce carbon emissions, and a lifeline tracking the transition to renewable energy. And today, it is adding a new gender parity lifeline. That's right. Since multiple studies tell us that greater representation of women in government is a key solution to the climate crisis. And one of the two co-creators of the climate clock is here today, Andrew Boyd. Stand up and take a bow, Andrew. And I spoke to Andrew earlier and I said, what does International Women's Day mean to you? And he had so many things to say, but he said, you know, it really is about partnership here. And it was important for him to be here today. So he's a representation of the other men. And while I'm at it, men, stand up. Where are you? Stand up. There we go. That's right. I'm here to remind you that we need you in this fight. We need the young boys in this fight to stand up for equality, for gender equality, to support our young girls, to support our women in the workforce and in parliaments, to stand up for what is right. So thank you all for being here today. I also asked Andrew one message he wanted to leave with you, and he said, on both climate and gender parity, let's hashtag act in time. And now we are privileged to have with us a remarkable leader who is a devoted advocate of gender equality and finding ways to bridge the digital gender gap in a field that is so dominated by men. That needs to change. The mother of four has shattered the glass ceiling for women by becoming the first woman in the organization's 158-year history to be elected by member nations as the Secretary General of the International Telecommunication Union. That is powerful. Wait until you hear her story and her enthusiasm. I watch a lot of videos of you on YouTube, and we are just thrilled for you and that you have achieved this space. You are needed. We are here to support you, just like the UN director. And it is just fabulous. I can't wait to hear your words. And for you to know, she actually made it possible for students in Switzerland to talk directly with astronauts in space on board the International Space Station. She is actually reaching into the stratosphere to inspire students. That's pretty powerful. Please welcome our keynote speaker, the Secretary General of the ITU, Doreen Bogdan-Martin. It is a pleasure to have you on this stage. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. President, Madam Chair, Madam Executive Director, Madam Minister, Excellencies, fabulous women, and fabulous men. Times are changing. Vidya, a young woman in India, is helping thousands of visually impaired students, most of them girls, to develop digital skills, vital digital skills, and to succeed in science, technology, engineering, and math. Vidya was the first visually impaired student in her university to take up computer science. Her example reminds us that digital technology is not a luxury, but a necessity. Helen, another young woman, captured the attention of our delegates last year with photographs where she was seen using drones to observe shifting vegetation patterns in the northeastern region in Brazil. Helen belongs to the Pancararu indigenous peoples and is turning to digital technology to fight the battle against climate change and to save her people's land, their way of life, and our planet. More than 6,000 miles away in Ethiopia, a 27-year-old woman named Kunjina is setting new trends in the textile and apparel industry. We met Kunjina through our Equals initiative, the global partnership for gender equality in the digital age. This experience has led her to launch her first multimedia fashion show using 3D and augmented reality in Addis Ababa. And that's opened Kunjina's business to new opportunities around the globe. I have one last story, and that's my own. I grew up not too far away from here in New Jersey, exit 98. I grew up in a science-loving family, and Sade, I had a microscope, and I loved my microscope. And I too saw technology and the promise of technology to change the world. It's such a great privilege for me to be here with all of you today on this day as the first woman to lead the International Telecommunications Union. Thank you. Thank you. It may have taken us 158 years, but I sure hope I'm not the last. And I intend to work with all of you to leverage technology and to deliver on the promise of the Sustainable Development Goals. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the foundation because all countries agree on the need to achieve universal connectivity, and they agree on the need for sustainable digital transformation. We also have the momentum. The Partner to Connect Digital Coalition, led by the ITU, together with many UN partners, has mobilized in just 1 year more than $17 billion for digital gender equality. We also have a unique opportunity, and by we, I mean the United Nations. I mean governments, industry, academia, civil society, young people, all of us here today together to ensure gender equality happens in our lifetime and not in 300 years. And digital technology can help pave the way. If more women enrolled and graduate in STEM fields, if we challenge gender stereotypes and biases that perpetuate inequality in the tech industry, if women and girls feel safe online, if more countries adopt national digital agendas that have a specific focus on women and girls. So no more ifs, No more excuses for not having digital gender equality now, everywhere. Let's all commit to 3 actions here and now. First, get girls into STEM at an early age and empower women and girls with the digital skills that they need to succeed. Second, ensure women and girls have equal access to digital technologies and opportunities, and base decisions on solid facts and data. Third, give women a seat at the digital table and make gender equality a must in every organization. We are at a crossroad in our journey towards gender digital equality. Together, let's deliver on the potential of digital technology for Vidya, for Helen, for Kunjina, and for all women and girls around the world. It's in our power to make digital technology and innovation truly work for everyone. It's our shared responsibility, all of us, it's our shared responsibility to create a more equal, a just, a safe, and sustainable digital world today and for future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, let's power on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Doreen Bogdan-Martin. So we've got 3 actions, she said. Get girls in STEM at an early age, to ensure women and girls have access to technology, and give women a seat at the digital table. We got work to do. We've got work to do. Well, we have a real treat for us now. We have 17-year-old singer and songwriter performing Rise Up. Please welcome Isabel Godfrey.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You were incredible. Okay, so tell us a little bit about you.
I'm Isabel Gottfried. I'm 17 years old.
17 years old. Well, we are so thrilled to have you. I know we're going to get ready for our next discussion, so I think they're going to get ready for the panel discussion. But come on up here while they do that. You know, for you, you said you're 17 years old. To have that powerful voice. Tell us, what does International Women's Day mean to you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's such an honor to be able to, you know, have the power to sing for you guys today in front of all these powerful women. And I love being a woman, so I think it's such a meaningful day for me because I love being a woman.
Well, it's wonderful. I just want everybody to just meet you, hear your voice, and thank you for blessing us. Thank you. Thank you. I think we are getting ready here. Okay. I'm trying to find my spot. I'm right here. Okay, here we go. Shall I get this? Okay. Hello, everyone. Now we are actually going to move to our panel discussion. We're going to switch gears a little bit. So let's welcome our panelists to the stage. First, the Minister for a brand new ministry, Digital Government and Gender Equality from the Government of Denmark, Marie Bjerre. And we also like to bring to the stage Civil Society Representative and Director of Strategic Initiatives at Policy.org, Irene Mwendwa. Renowned sports journalist, match analyst, television host, and UN Women National Goodwill Ambassador for Mexico, Marian Reimers. 17-year-old inventor, innovator, author, STEM promoter, and UNICEF youth advocate, Gitanjali Rao. Thank you, ladies. So, Madam Minister, I'd like to begin with you. It was in your country of Denmark back in 1910, International Women's Day was actually adopted. You got to be so proud of that. Yeah, come on, we got to give it up for Denmark, right? Since then, International Women's Day has so evolved and is now celebrated, I think, almost everywhere in the world. Denmark is one of the world's most digitalized countries, and your country has been on the forefront of gender equality for years, right? You are one of the trailblazers advancing digital vision, not only for Denmark, but for all of EU. So let's talk about what you're doing and how your ministry is changing things.
Thank you. And first of all, thank you for being here, you and your women. It's such a pleasure. I'm really honored to be here, and such a distinguished audience and participants, and you all look great. Very blue. So this is an important day, and you're right. This was established in Denmark in 1910. I'm very proud of that. But it's also important to say that we don't yet have gender equality. There's still a lot to discuss. There's still a lot to do to move on. And in that discussion, we have to have an inclusive dialogue with civil society and women activists. That's why we in Denmark have more than 40 civil society organizations represented here. If we want to succeed, if we want to have gender equality, we must have meaningful participation and inclusion of civil society. That's really important. Well, but turning to your question, digitalization is important. It's a growth factor, and I'm very thrilled as a Minister of Digital Government for all the solutions that a digital world can bring. It can also mobilize women and give a platform to be heard, even on a global scale, like we saw with Me Too and Masha Amini. But of course, we have to acknowledge that the digital world has a threat for the women's society as well. It can refrain women from speaking out because of online harassment, and even spyware can be hidden in purses and toys and cars. The digital world is constantly evolving and bringing new technologies. We have to be aware of that. And as government, we can ensure legislation. In Denmark, we have now a broad range of law and regulations. For instance, we have a law prohibiting sharing intimate photos. Recently, the police charged 1,000 young people for sharing a video of a young girl. Many of the young people didn't understand the extent of what they have done and that it was illegal, but now they do.
That's really important.
And last week, we also proposed a law prohibiting grooming. So that's really important to ensure proper legislation. Also, I want to say that we have to be taught how to behave online. The digital world is a new world for us. Like we learn how to drive a car, we have to learn how to behave online. That's why we have to train, raise awareness at schools, and upgrade skill at the shelters for victims, so you can spot if there's hidden any spyware. And lastly, we have to work globally, on globally scale. That's why Denmark is a member of the Global Partnership for Gender-Based Violence.
You know, I think you've touched upon so many important things because, yes, we do need to learn how to conduct ourselves online because clearly so many people cross the line on that. But I think it's really important that you guys have actually introduced legislation. And when you're talking about global cooperation, you know, it's really highlighting what you guys are doing in Denmark. And I think this is something that needs to be adopted in other countries. We need legislation to be able to guide our actions.
True. Actually, I totally agree. It's really important that we have the domestic legislation to handling these issues, because being in the digital world brings a lot of new problems, and the legislation have to be in line with that. So that's really important to have a constant focus on that.
And one of the problems clearly are those algorithms, which means that there's going to be gender bias and inequality. How do we eliminate gender bias from this? And what role do you think men and boys can actually play in this space?
You're absolutely right. I think that the digital world brings a lot of good things to us. It can benefit our society and make lives easier. It's necessary for the sustainable development and the green transition. And it's a growth sector. But you're absolutely right that AI often reproduce gender norms and stereotypes. Like, for instance, if you ask a GPT robot, who is cleaning? It will ask, she is cleaning. And if you ask, who is the CEO? It will answer, he is the CEO. Algorithm must reflect diverse reality and not repeat traditional perceptions. And also, I think it's important for us to remember that digital solution can actually help us break down those stereotypes. For instance, in Denmark, we have ensured that digital information on your child, for instance, dental appointments, healthcare status, homework, etc., is sent to both the mom and the dad. And that helps break down norms, that the norms of the mother being the primary caregiver, and it helps getting the father involved as well. And I think it's very important to emphasize that breaking down norms and bias is crucial if we want to succeed with gender equality. It's fundamental to break down norms and bias. It's evident that women still face a major burden of discrimination, especially online as well. But we must include men on this agenda as well if we want to continue to progress.
Again, men, we need you. Thank you, Minister Vier.
Thank you.
Now let's transition to someone working on the ground, the grassroots efforts. Joining us today is Irene Mwendwa,
and whose name, by the way, means my love. That's a nice name.
Thank you.
She is working with Policy, an award-winning feminist collective of technologists, data scientists, creatives, and academics, and they're working at the intersection of data, design, and technology in Uganda. I mean, let's get right to it. What are you guys doing at Policy, and how are you helping to change the whole paradigm?
Thank you very much. I'm going to pick on the cue of her minister. We are trying to break gender norms, especially in the ICT sector. We know that we have women who are leaders at the local government level, we have leaders at the national level, and also at the international level. But we asked ourselves, who do you want change to impact first? And at Policy, we used research, and we found that women leaders, when engaging online, they face a lot of abuse. This is quite obvious. And we thought to ourselves, how best do we engage them for them to be part of the solutions? So we engage local government women leaders in Africa. That's our councillors who are under ministries of local government, to understand the power of technology and data in their lives. Once they understand the power of technology and data, when they go into their council, when they go into cabinets, into parliaments, they'll be able to debate better. If they debate better, the legal frameworks, the policies coming out in our communities, in our countries, will be inclusive of both women's and men's needs pertaining to ICT. The other thing that we are working on and primarily focused on our research is to understand how to use simple language to engage Africans to be able to enter into the realm of STEM and ICT. If you look at our research, as you know, many civil society actors put out a lot of research. What we have done at Policy, we try and break down this research further. We use simple language that ordinary people of Africa can understand and relate to. Even your 15-year-old girl, your 15-year-old son can be able to read our pieces of research and engage better to be able to understand how digital tools impact their lives. We also use different tech products or tech tools. We have games that share information on how to be safe online. You should all actually go on our website and play some of our games. One is on digital safety, and we have another one on gendered misinformation, especially during the elections. We know most of the information that comes out infers to gender misinformation. These games, as part of our tech products, enables you to be able to keep safe online and to stop the spread of fake news. The last bit is we know the power of media, traditional legacy media, media outlets, especially in Africa. The media holds the power to sharing lots of information from national level to rural communities. I mean, in Africa, still, radio is a very wonderful and powerful resource. If our media journalists, if our very influential journalists understand the power of technology and data, they're able to report as part of their entertainment and as part of the news, so that women and girls can be able to understand how to shape and use technology better.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Great things that you're doing there on the ground. Well, speaking of media, now I'd like to turn our attention to a fellow broadcaster. I love it. She has so many accolades. She is the first Hispanic woman on-air broadcaster. Instead of news, her focus is soccer. She is the author of Play Like a Girl. She's an outspoken activist for LGBTQ+ rights. I could go on and on. She is the National Goodwill Ambassador from Mexico. Welcome, Marian.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You know, let's just get right down to it, because we've been talking about harassment online. You have a lot to say on this. Have you faced this before? How do you handle it? What do women need to think about in this space?
Well, thank you so much. The first way to handle it is, I'm so privileged. The energy in this room, I mean, I can fill up the tank for a year, so thank you so much. But as I mentioned, not everyone can sit here, not everyone can hear your applause. And in that sense, yes, I have been a victim of online harassment for a very long time. There are paid campaigns, and I'm not the only woman that suffers this in Mexico and throughout the world. And the thing is, it is a very lonely place. There is nothing more intimate than your phone, is there? And yet, it probably isn't, depending on how your security works. But we wake up, we look at our phone. We go to bed, we look at our phone. You guys are looking at your phone right now. And the thing is, no one seems to see what is happening to you, because the only one who's reading that probably is you. And it feels like a death by 1,000 knives. But the thing is, as you feel that you're sinking into a sea of blue, you look at this sea of blue and realize that you're probably looking at the wrong place. So I have been privileged enough to be able to cope with this in terms of my mental health by going to therapy. My friends, my family, my colleagues, my girlfriend, everyone who's been standing by my side. But not all women have that possibility. Not all human beings have that possibility. And that is when I started realizing we need to stop thinking about this problem in terms of, oh, how the individual is going to deal with this. We need to tap into the structures. We need to talk about policy.
We need to look at what Denmark is doing. Right.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I started realizing this, and we are so far behind because there is no one, or it feels like there is no one to help you, because this is such a new landscape. And this has created so many new necessities that we need to catch up real quick. But we need to understand that this is not just someone just telling you, oh, you're so bad at your job. This pushes people towards suicidal thoughts. This pushes people towards self-censoring. So when you take into account that 75% of women journalists have been victims of online harassment, this is directly intertwined with how we speak about problems in the public sphere, with how democracies are understood, with how the voices of women are being taken into account. So if there is a big impossibility for us to access technology just because of the fact that we're women, once we're there, we're harassed. And once we access the public sphere through our voices because we're journalists, we're once again harassed. So this is a triple problem. Yeah. And we need to understand that this taps directly into freedom of speech. In most countries, this is incredibly important. So I do think that this doesn't only have to do with me, I'm just an example, but there are so many others. So we need to understand that, yet again, this is a bigger problem. And that is why I started coping with it by understanding that I have a big possibility. I'm incredibly honored to be here, and I'm going to use my voice as much as I can. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for using your voice. Now, with joy, and I have to say awe, now let me come to our brilliant youngest panelist, a scientist, inventor, and mentor already, who has said it is her mission to create a global community of young inventors to solve problems the world over. She has run workshops in 40 countries for thousands and thousands of students. Gitanjali, you were just 15 years old when you were selected from the field of more than 5,000 nominees for Kid of the Year honor by Time magazine. That's incredible. And I understand at age of 6, you had your first chemistry set?
I did, yeah.
So is this where it all begun? Take it away.
I mean, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I grew up, I'm 17, but I spent a lot of time watching the General Assembly happen in halls like these, and it was always a dream of mine to be up here. So thank you all for making that happen today.
You can check that one.
Thank you, thank you. So yeah, my journey started at the ripe old age of probably even earlier than that. I want to say 4 or 5 years old. I was coming up with ideas around me that I personally was very passionate about, like problems that I was seeing in the community that I was forming a personal connection to. And I always used to tell my parents when I was younger that when I got older, I wanted to put a smile on people's faces. That was the job that I wanted. And so I spent a lot of time quite literally doing that every single day. So I'm very honored to be a UNICEF youth advocate. So I spend time talking to students all across the world. I've worked with about 72,000 students across 44 countries.
Impressive.
Thank you. And thank you.
And wait, can we briefly mention what you've done? You've tackled issues ranging from testing contaminated drinking water to opioid addiction and cyberbullying. And now you're 17 and you've done all of that?
Well, I appreciate it. Honestly, for me, I think I've always grown up in this environment where I was taught that you can't just wait for someone else to do something. You have to take that first step. If you don't like the way the world works, fix it. And that's one of the biggest reasons I'm here today, is because of the support I've received, because of the mentors along the way, and the support that I hope every girl gets one day.
Yeah. And not to underestimate youth. I mean, we heard it from another young woman that I mentioned her remarks. Right here. That's right. Stand up. You guys have the same feet and the same notions. That to say we're smart, and you don't have to be a 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 or 70-year-old. Like, you can do it now. You have a place. Is that part of your messaging to other young girls?
Well, yeah, I absolutely agree. I think one of the biggest things that we don't recognize is the opportunity that we can use to harness the ingenuity that youth bring to the playing field, especially girls. Now more than ever is the time to maximize innovation and creativity, right? We should be taking these opportunities to look at the ways in which we can support girls, especially by digitizing content online, and honestly supporting them in every way possible, whether that's through the work that they're doing or making sure that they're safe online as well. I had the opportunity to work with UNICEF's Office of Innovation to build an anti-cyberbullying service called Kindly, built on artificial intelligence and machine learning, that's able to detect and prevent words and phrases that may be considered bullying as a preventative technology. And so that's one of many, many different opportunities that we can use to drive innovation forward and allow youth and girls to really be involved in what's made not for them but with them, right? Taking that opportunity to really recognize the power that these girls bring to the playing field, because those ideas bring a unique perspective and unique sense of passion, and that's something that I've seen in 72,000 new budding ideas across the world that I've had the opportunity to work with.
Thank you so much. Well, unfortunately, we are running out of time, but really quickly, what do you want to leave women with today? Let's start with you.
Okay. Well, so I think there's no one big solution that can solve everything.
Okay.
I can leave with, but I think it's important to remember that we can do something nationally, at national level. For instance, legislation, having the proper legislation, but also we need to work together. We live in a more complex world, and the digital world have added a new twist to that. So we have to work globally. Because this is globally problems, so it needs global solutions.
And I already see it from Denmark. You know, we're talking about all of these women across the globe working together. So Denmark can help kick it off. Let's figure out how do we move this, getting legislation across all of these other countries. This space is needed, and it's needed now. And it's not just impacting women, it's impacting young boys. So let's do it all together. So thank you. What's your, yes. Your message.
Inclusion, not just an add-on.
Okay.
What do I mean by this? I mean we must look beyond gender as an add-on and ensure that it is integrated into our understanding and application of innovation and technology. Thank you.
And for you?
Thank you. The future is not a fact. The future is a decision, and it's our decision. And women need to be factored into that decision. We need to stop being thankful for the minimum, and we need to aspire to the maximum. And that also has to do with men. Thank you.
Amen. For you.
Yeah, so my take is that it's important to take risks when it doesn't matter versus when it does. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the risks that I took along the way. And I always like to tell a girl that their biggest enemy is their own self-doubt. So if I can do it, anyone can do it.
There you go. I love it. Let's give them all a round of applause. Thank you all. This has been an amazing discussion. Thank you all. Thank you. And now we're going to be closing out our program. We have some singers from Broadway who are going to wow you. But before we get to them, we have a message from the highest ranking woman in the United Nations, UN Deputy Secretary General, Her Excellency, Ms. Amina Mohammed.
Ladies, gentlemen, and friends, it is a real pleasure to join you today to celebrate the agency of all women, and in particular, those who dedicate themselves to advancing transformative technology and innovation for the well-being of all. I salute you. As we heard, digital transformation holds the promise of accelerating gender equality and women's empowerment. Yet, it simultaneously poses the risk of repeating and amplifying existing patterns of gender inequality against which we must guard. And while digital connectivity increases worldwide, its uneven spread intensifies the exclusion of those who remain disconnected. The COVID-19 crisis has accelerated this disparity, leaving further behind those without the digital infrastructure and skills required to access education, health, welfare, and economic services successfully. Also, online and IICT-facilitated gender-based violence has kept women and girls at risk in digital spaces. Without decisive action, the digital gender divide will become the new face of widening social and economic inequalities, and it will impede, amongst other important milestones, the achievement of the SDGs. Therefore, a gender-responsive approach to innovation and technology will be critical. Indeed, it will be essential. As we conclude today's program, I urge everyone to take 3 urgent steps. First, promote the literacy, participation, employment, and leadership of women in technology and innovation. Full, equal, and meaningful participation and leadership of women and girls is the pathway to gender transformative innovation. Second, prevent and eliminate technology-facilitated gender-based violence and protect the rights of women and girls online. Policy designed to end gender-based violence online will need meaningful participation from survivors of violence and young women and women's organizations. And last, leverage our collective resources, our experiences, our alliances to finance inclusive and gender-responsive digital transformation and innovation. This is at the center of the Secretary General's Transforming Education Summit. During the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, we must collectively give meaning to these actions, building on the power of civil society and the rich knowledge, experience, and resources of the women and girls, advocates, and participants represented here. Dear friends, our task is to design digital environments with women and girls at the center of our efforts. For this, we need joint endeavor to forge forth with a common cause and collaboration among national and local governments, the private sector, civil society, academia, and multilateral organizations. Today, as we celebrate International Women's Day, let us commit to taking action to build a safer and more equal future for everyone. Thank you.
Everybody today possible. We all know that it takes a village to put this thing together, certainly an event like this. Particular thanks have to go to the UN Women Executive Director, the UN Women Organizing Team led by Aparna, our wonderful creative producers, the fabulous security and special events colleagues here at the Secretariat, and most importantly, all of you here today. You mean so much. I do have a couple of housekeeping notes. When you walk out of here, we do have an immediate call to action outside. It's called Chalk Back. And there you can chalk messages on the sidewalk outside of the UN. So pick up some chalk and give up your call to action. Again, thank you to all of the speakers. They were fabulous, weren't they? They really, really were. They are doers, creating new opportunities and new ways of thinking. I hope you enjoyed today. Did you? I know I did. It was so wonderful sharing this day with you, International Women's Day 2023. There is a lot to do, so let's charge ahead. We have the energy, we have the intellect, we have the guts and the drive to move ahead. So let's all move forward in our own individual space. Let's make moments matter to really move the needle. So thank you all. It was a pleasure being here today. And now we're going to close out our program with some spectacular singers. So let's listen to them. Have a wonderful International Women's Day.
She takes a lifts up her voice in Lahore, La Paz, Kampala, though she's half a world away. Something in me wants to say, we are one woman. You cry and I hear you. We are one woman. You hurt and I hurt too. We are one woman. Your hopes are mine, and we shall shine. In what is, she speaks her name. She reaches out and teaches others how to. In Jaipur, she gives her name. She lives without shame. In Manila, Salta, and Poo.
Oh, we're different as can be. We're the same, she with me.
We are one woman. Your courage keeps me strong. We are one woman. You sing, I sing along. We are one woman. Your dreams are mine, and we shall shine. We shall shine.
And one man hears her voice. One man he fights her fight. Day by day he lets go the old way. One woman at a time.
We are one woman. Your victories lift us all. We are one woman. You rise and I stand tall. We are one woman. Your world is mine, and we shall shine. Shine, shine, shine. 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 Ladies and gentlemen, please rise from your chairs and join us in song. We are one woman. Your victories lift us all. We are one woman. You rise and I stand tall. We are one woman. Your world is mine, and we shall shine. Shine, shine, shine. We shall shine. Shine.